Hi, I'm Jon Rasmussen, and I'm here to discuss with you today the phenomenon known as December 21st, 2012, the end of the Mayan calendar. So much now is out there regarding this event, and much of it is unfortunately very apocalyptic. That I guess as humans we tend to make a big story out of things. And that we don't know, that we're not too familiar with. I'd like to shed some light, though, from my perspective. You know, as a shaman and a visionary, I've been tracking this for over a couple of decades now, and I'd like to let you know that there really isn't. This is really more of a positive event than anything else. And this is much like, you know, going to bed at night. You don't dread the possibility that this is the end of a day, that when you close your eyes everything's going to collapse and disappear and your house will be gone. And no, you go to bed, you go to sleep, you know, you get up in the morning, everything's there, you continue your next day. You may feel a little differently than the day before, you may have gotten up on the wrong side of the bed, you may feel better or worse than the day before, but essentially everything is still functioning. And I'd like you to know that this is also going to be true for December 21st, 2012. I mean, simply speaking, this was a Mayan calendar that, you know, the fact is they were able to, you know, on a very astronomical scale, on a very long-term scale, measure cycles. Cycles, you know, are a normal part of all of creation, of all of nature. And those that, of course, we're more familiar with, we think nothing of. You know, your rose bush sort of goes into hibernation in the winter, and the roses come back in the spring. You know, you know, it's something that we're familiar with. So I'd like you to see December 21st, 2012 as the same thing, except that it's just on a very grand scale. Influences that come onto the planet and to us from the stars and the sun and the earth itself are just simply going through a cycle. They're going through the end of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. But this is a gradual shift, and it's already started. It's already been happening. We're already adapting to some of the new things that are happening, and we're already thinking differently about that. Take climate change, for example. This is another cycle, and perhaps we've contributed to it, but you know, in the end, we have the choice to make to decide where we want it to go next. So think of this grand cycle coming to an end and a new one beginning as an opportunity again to make more choices that may be more of a benefit to you, more of a benefit to your community, to humanity at large, to the earth at large, and all the creatures on the earth. I'd like to emphasize that we really do create our own experiences, our own reality, as participants in nature. And we co-create. We create with all other beings and all things around us, and in both physical and non-physical form. And we're very powerful creators, for the most part. And so, you know, to a certain extent, the only concern I would have is that we're, you know, sort of the idea of the self-fulfilling prophecy. That enough people maybe want things to shift radically, or enough people are really afraid of that and really focusing on that. Some sort of catastrophic, apocalyptic type of scenario. That in some pockets, in some small areas, certainly not enough of people are thinking that to have anything happen like that on a global scale. But certainly there's this possibility that, you know, things like just recently happened with the Superstorm Sandy, for example, in New York. That could very well be something related to this idea that we are focusing on this notion that the world is coming to an end or something based on December 21st, 2012. And there's nothing on the, what I'm trying to say is there's nothing in the external world. There is no scorekeeper or judge or great person operating the machinery that's going to make something happen on that day. How you experience that day will be entirely based on the signal you're sending and what you create on a day-to-day basis in terms of your experience. So again, I would encourage you to look at December 21st, 2012 as just a window of opportunity, of influences coming to you that give you a chance to shift in the most elegant, graceful, and gentle way anything that you're wanting to shift in your life. And that's what I, work with when we step outside of time in my shaman sessions. I mean, think about this: when we do the work that I do as a shaman, we're stepping outside of time anyway. The calendar doesn't mean anything. We can go forward in time to this date that's coming already. We can go back. We can go forward 10,000 years. And so there's always the opportunity to choose and to make choices and to shift and to evolve and to transform your life. So the Mayans, as part of their measurement of time and cycles on this astronomical scale, recognized through their observations, maybe through visions, through information that we don't know how they got it, recognize that cycles are related to, for example, the turning of the earth that we know as the day-to-day cycle, and the way that the sun rises and sets, and the cycles of the seasons as the earth tilts, and the grand cycles of the earth rotating around the sun. They also recognize almost on a galactic scale alignments of planets and with the galaxies and with the galaxy center. And so a lot of what we have studied in their calendar is related to these alignments. It's related to these grand alignments of these Earth and planets and stars and galaxy. And so, when I speak of influences on this level, it's not much different than we're used to thinking of in terms of astrology and astrological influences. When you're born in a certain time with a certain set of planets in their locations, there's a lot that can be read from that. There are signs that come from that have to do with the influences on us. And so this is really just a grand version of that. It's a grand version of the Mayans' ability to measure these cycles in tens of thousands of years, and to recognize that we are coming to the end of one of those long cycles and the beginning of a new one. And so it's just a slightly different set of influences that are coming upon us based on these alignments. It's really nothing more than a shift in the influences on us, on humanity, that really just provides an opportunity. It provides an opportunity to grow and expand. It's sort of like discovering a new, molecule or a new set of information that helps. It's like the discovery of solar power or electricity or any of these things that transformed our lives radically, and was the end of another way of doing things and the beginning of a new way. And December 21st is really one of those type of events, except that it's probably more of an internal opportunity than an external event. And that's important to understand, because in our lifetime, we're faced with some of these internal opportunities. Some people, when they have a relationship issue or a big health scare, will begin to look at something they never looked at before. They'll begin to look at the way that they live and the way they relate and the way they treat their own body, for example, the choices they make. And I believe that these external influences at the end of this cycle and the beginning of the new cycle are an opportunity for us to, without the necessity of an external event, to actually begin to question and look at what are some of the things we might be able to do better? What are some of the things that might serve us better, that might serve humanity better? And so in that regard, it's actually a very, very positive thing. My Karo teachers, They speak of this time as the beginning of a millennium of gold, you know, the beginning of 1,000 years of peace and prosperity, and sort of living on the earth as if we were back in the garden. And and so I think it's important to focus on that, to focus on the idea that this external influence associated with this particular date is an opportunity for you to use that whatever techniques you have, be it psychological, be it spiritual, be it ritual and ceremony, to let go of some things that you're ready to let go of that don't serve any longer, and bring in some things, some habits, some ways of thinking that do serve. And yes, it means old habits and old thoughts are going to die. They'll be gone. We won't be living in your world as you know it today. But this is true no matter what kind of change you make and no matter when you make it. So I don't think there's anything particular about December 21st, 2012 that's going to be much different than any kind of change in cycle that you've already experienced. It's just a bigger, longer term cycle. And it usually, these long-term changes in cycles tend to create opportunities for us to shift, to change, to evolve, to grow, to do things differently, and therefore experience life differently. So I'm very much looking forward to this time. And I've already, as a shaman and as a visionary in the work that I do with my clients, have been going through many versions of that for a couple of decades now. So, so whatever you're hearing on the news, whatever you're hearing on Facebook and Twitter and the books out there, I think it's important to recognize that that's just one interpretation, perhaps. It's just one person's projection of what they think the event means, just as mine is now. I can't claim to know that what I'm seeing is gonna, is the only thing that's gonna happen. But I wanted to share with you what I really believe is going to happen, and what I've, based on everything I've been observing and studying about this. And so, if you have any questions about this, if you would like to explore it further, please feel free to contact me. I have a website. It's dreamingintobeing.com. I do individual sessions, group sessions, phone sessions all over the world, and I love this exploration. I love the opportunity to help people thrive, to look at things differently from a different perspective that's more enjoyable and helpful to them. So please feel free to contact me if you have any questions about particularly this event and what it means for humanity and what it means for you personally. Thank you.